What up, my fellow moto junkies? I hope none of you missed that Anaheim race. If you did, you definitely need to go watch it because it was a good one. And surprise, surprise, the Wonder Boy, Jet Lawrence, made history again tonight. Now, before I dive into this, two things I gotta say real quick. I was wrong about the Triumph Boys. For some reason, I thought they was going to be racing the West Coast, but they wasn't there. Turns out we're going to be seeing them two Triumph Boys, Jalek Swoll and Evan Ferry, in the East Coast Championship. Second thing, Colt Nichols. I was unaware that Colt Nichols suffered an injury at the practice track. Apparently, he injured his rotator cuff. So for now, while he's out, they got John Short filling in for him on that Beta 450 machine. I hope Colt heals up quick because I cannot wait to see how he does on that Beta 450. Now, let's dive into these heat races. Jordan Smith, that boy pulled the first hole shot of the night. First 250 heat, Jordan Smith took that hole shot, but shortly after he took it, Carson Mumford took the lead away from him. And for the next 2 or 3 laps, we had Carson Mumford, Jordan Smith, and R.J. Hampshire running 1, 2, and 3. Joe Shimoda, he pulled a pretty decent start too, but about halfway through that first lap of that heat race, he come into a 180 a little too hot, his rear tire washed out, and he hit the ground. He fell to the back of the pack. Luckily, he was able to put in a charge and just barely made it into the top 9 of that heat race, solidifying his main event spot. Although he did have a bad gate pick for the main, but at least he didn't have to go to the LCQ. Once Jordan Smith got back around Carson Mumford for the lead, he didn't do it alone. He brought R.J. Hampshire with him, and those two raced the entire way to the checkered flag. R.J. brought the heat, tried to pass Jordan, but he wasn't having none of it, man. He shut R.J. down multiple times and won that heat race. The second 250 heat race was amazing. The rookie himself, Julian Beaumer, pulled that hole shot. Only this time, nobody was able to slide past him. So for the second 250 heat race, we had Julian Beaumer in front, and Max Volan and Levi Kitchen on the Pro Circuit Kawasaki's second and third. But once again, halfway through that first lap, Levi Kitchen did the same thing as Joe Shimoda, washed his front end, hit the deck, come back from the back of the pack, just barely making it into the top 9, solidifying his gate pick for the main event, although it was a bad one. But once again, better than going to the LCQ. As for Max Volan, 3 or 4 laps into that heat race, he got past Julian Beaumer and ended up winning it. The 450 heat races. That first 450 heat race, who else but my favorite rider himself, Ken Roczen, pulled that hole shot. And once again, nobody got past him. Once he took that hole shot, he was gone. I think he had 5 seconds on the field at one point. He won that heat race from beginning to end. But same time that's happening, in the first turn, somehow Vince Freeze got connected with Hunter Lawrence. Hunter Lawrence hit the ground. Since that happened, Chase Sexton had nowhere to go, ran right into Hunter Lawrence's bike, flipped him over the bars, which left both Hunter Lawrence and Chase Sexton laying on the ground in the first turn of that heat race. But it gets a lot more interesting from there. Aaron Plessinger got held up by that collision. So when Aaron Plessinger come around that first turn, he started in 13th place. And for the next 3 minutes, Aaron Plessinger put on a charge. He went from 13th to 2nd place in about 3 minutes time in that first heat race, passing not only Christian Craig and Malcolm Stewart, but also Eli Tomac to get there. Now Chase Sexton, starting from the ground, coming from the back of the pack, he ended up 6th place, solidifying his spot in the main event. He put on a charge, used his super speed, and did the best he could to get to the top 9. He got all the way to 6th, which is a better gate pick than having to go to the LCQ or just finishing in 9th place. As for Hunter Lawrence, he didn't have that good luck, man. He must have hurt himself or something when he hit the ground, because he finished that first heat race in 17th place, sending him to the 450 LCQ for his first race of his 450 career. I felt bad for him, man. Everybody knows that Hunter Lawrence is better than that, but he just had some bad luck going into the night. That second 450 heat race, it was another shocker again. Cooper Webb himself pulled the whole shot of that second heat race. And as soon as he pulled that whole shot, Jet Lawrence thought he was going to be slick and slipped past him real quick. He pulled it off, but just after the second turn, Cooper Webb gave him a little boss move with the elbow, let him know what was happening, took the lead back, and from there, Jet did not catch him. He tried to right away, but he made a few mistakes in the first couple laps of that heat race. After he made them mistakes, he calmed down, got his footing back, put on a charge. He started to catch Cooper Webb, but when he got close, he pushed just a little bit too hard and ended up hitting the ground, letting Jason Anderson take second place away from him. Ended up finishing in third place right behind Jason Anderson, with Dylan Ferrandis in fourth and Adam Cianciarulo rounding off the top 5 of that second heat race. As for the other rookie, the world champion from MXGP, Jorge Prado, he finished his first heat race of his career in 8th place, solidifying his gate pick for his first main event in America. Now Hunter Lawrence, he entered that 450 LCQ, but he got a bad jump off the gate, come around that first turn pretty much in last place, ran into the back of someone in that first turn, almost went down, so he calmed down a little bit, let it settle into pace. I was doubting he was going to make it, but he put in a charge, and about halfway through that LCQ, he was in about 7th place, and I thought he was going to get it done. He made it all the way up to 5th place, closing in on 4th place, which was Cade Clayson, but he pushed a little too hard, made another mistake, let Cade Clayson pull out a little bit. He almost passed him in the last turn before the finish, but Cade Clayson blocked that inside, and Hunter Lawrence lost that LCQ and his chance in the main event by the length of a motorcycle. He was so close, and I really do feel bad for him, because I know he's good enough, but hopefully he learned from what he did wrong. Wasn't his fault he ended up in the LCQ. I'm going to blame that on Vince Freeze. Guy makes a good door. He's always in the way of the champions, and it drives me nuts. He's always wrecking people and getting in their way. Now, even after all that excitement of them heat races, that 250 main event was lit. It was exciting from beginning to end. There was always something to watch. Once again, the rookie, Julian Beaumer, pulled his second whole shot of the night. Once he got that whole shot, he held on to it for a little bit. He had Levi Kitchen, RJ Hampshire, Nate Thrasher, Jordan Smith, and Max Volan right there behind him. And he held on to that first place for a little bit. But it only took RJ Hampshire 3 laps in that main event to pass not only Levi Kitchen, but Julian Beaumer for the lead. And once RJ Hampshire got the lead, he was gone. You didn't see him again until the end of the race when they were showing him cross the finish line. That boy took off and was cool, clean, and consistent the entire race. Now Joe Shimoda, with his bad gate pick from his heat race, he started in 9th place, and for most of that main event, that's exactly where Joe Shimoda stayed, 9th place. Somehow Nate Thrasher made a mistake. He got bumped back from 4th place to 6th place, letting Jordan Smith and Max Volan in front of him. And for about the next 6 or 7 minutes of that main event, that's exactly where everybody stayed, right where they were. Towards the end of that main event, Jordan Smith put on a charge, passing not only Levi Kitchen, but also Julian Beaumer for 2nd place. And that's where he finished, right behind RJ Hampshire in 2nd place in his first main event of the year. As for Jordan Smith, towards the end of that main event, he put on a charge, passed not only Levi Kitchen for 3rd, but Julian Beaumer for 2nd. And he passed both of them boys within 90 seconds. Once he decided it was time to go, he went. About 5 minutes left in that main event, Nate Thrasher come over that hip jump a little wrong, went over the bars, and that was the end of his night. He left the track on the mule, which is not good. I don't know if he broke something or was just banged up, but you never want to leave the track on a mule. I'm waiting to hear an update about Nate Thrasher. Hopefully he's not injured and he can line up next week in San Francisco. That would be really terrible for him to be injured last year. He'll do all this work to get ready and get injured the first night. So hopefully Nate Thrasher's alright and we will see him next Saturday night. Now Julian Beaumer was sitting in 3rd place after Jordan Smith passed him. Both Max Volan and Levi Kitchen ended up getting around him as they was battling, and those two duked it out for third place. And with 2 minutes to go in that main event, here come Joe Shimoda putting on charge, going from 7th place to 4th place in the last 2 minutes of that main event. With that main event result ended up being RJ Hampshire, Jordan Smith, Levi Kitchen, Joe Shimoda, Max Volan, and Julian Beaumer rounding out your top 6 of the main event. Which brings us to the last main event of the night, the 450s. And I gotta be honest, I was a little disappointed. That 450 main event was pretty boring in my eyes. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but to me, it was a little boring. Come around the first turn, once again, just like his heat race, Cooper Webb pulled that hole shot. And once again, Jet Lawrence tried to be slick and get past him real quick. He did the same thing again, only this time, Cooper Webb was unable to pass Jet back. Once Jet got that lead, that's how it stayed. He led that main event from beginning to end, and nobody had a chance to catch him. Jason Anderson sitting in 2nd place, Cooper Webb sitting in 3rd, Chase Sexton sitting in 4th, and Justin Barcia sitting in 5th. That's exactly how it stayed for most of that main event. Towards the end of that main event, people started mixing up 5th through 10th. We had Aaron Plessinger in 5th, Justin Barcia 6th, Dylan Ferrandis 7th, Eli Tomac sitting in 8th, Jorge Prado in 9th, Adam Cianciarulo sitting in 10th. And for the rest of the main event, that's exactly where they stayed. They might have moved a position or two, but they stayed right there in that 5 through 10 section. As for the front of the pack, with 2 minutes to go, Cooper Webb did the same thing Nate Thrasher did. He come over that hip jump and went over the bars. The end of the main event, Jet Lawrence had won it, Jason Anderson took 2nd, and Chase Sexton took 3rd place. So that was it, man. That was Anaheim 1 in a nutshell. It was a good race. Once again, if you did not see it, you need to go see it. I don't know why you haven't watched it. You should have been watching it live with the rest of the world. I can't wait to watch San Francisco. Luckily, everybody got out of there healthy, except for Nate Thrasher. I'm not sure about him. Hopefully, Hunter Lawrence has a better weekend next weekend. Doesn't get knocked down in the first turn. I can't wait to watch it, man. It's going to be an epic one again. And I will see you guys then.